Welcome to the Elite Growth Podcast, where we dive deep into the minds of innovators and industry leaders shaping the future of technology and business. I'm your host, Kiran Prakash, and today we are joined by an incredible guest, Missy Trumpler. With decades of transformational leadership across enterprise organizations, Missy is now CEO of Agile AI Labs, leading the charge with the groundbreaking innovations like Spec to Test AI, a quality-first platform that helps organizations prevent defects before a single line of code is written. Missy is not only reshaping how the software is built, but also redefining how engineering products and business teams align around crystal clear requirement to ship faster, more secure, and more reliable products. Before we dive in, today's episode is proudly sponsored by NeuroAgentic AI Labs, accelerating business growth through AI employees that automate sales, services, and operations while integrating seamlessly into your existing workflows. Now, let's get into the conversation with Missy. Missy, welcome to the show.
Hi, Kieran. Nice to be here. How are you doing today?
Thank you. I'm doing good. Thank you.
Good.
Missy, you had a fantastic career spanning leadership, consulting, sustainability, and now AI-driven software quality. Could you share how your journey led you into founding AI, Agile AI Labs?
Well, I'm only one of the founders, and I'm not the main founder, so I want to clear that up to begin with. Our founding technology leader, his name is Scott Azes. He's one of the advisors to the company now, and he's been an incredible innovator in the company. But my background in sustainability almost led me in this direction because when you started to recognize that most of business is going to be adopting AI, and technology has always been under the purview of the umbrella of sustainability. It kind of dovetailed where I needed to understand more. And as I started diving in, it looked as though we were going to need to focus on governance, on guardrails, on being able to really use AI for the positive. There's so many wonderful opportunities that AI presents. There's a lot of scary things about AI, but there are phenomenal opportunities, not just in how it applies to business frameworks, but also on when you look at the sustainability front when it applies to environmental. I truly think it's going to be it's and healthcare where there's opportunities with AI to put together information that really humankind has never really had before.
Excellent. You often say stop defects before they happen. Could you explain what Spec to Test AI is and how it works in practice?
Sure. Well, the reason why Scott started building this platform to begin with is because he's been in the quality side of software development for about 35 years now. And he saw when large language models first became available to the public, an opportunity to really hone in on how to prevent defects because I don't know that everybody's familiar, but there's a huge problem that we have in the software development industry where defects are beginning in the requirements phase. However, we're so quick to push out software in deference to speed, right? Everybody wants software faster, faster, faster because it's everywhere. But there's basic fundamentals of requirements gathering and development that get ignored because they're trying to push out the product quicker. So when large language models first became available, Scott saw that as an opportunity to address those problems in a very expeditious way so that we could really take a shift left back to the requirements gathering piece, enhance requirements, right? Bring in the AI as a tool. AI should not be doing the thinking for you, but what it should do is provide you all the information you need to make better decisions, right? To add that quality piece. And so, what we do with Spec to Test AI, for example, is we take even the most basic of requirements. And we put it through an analysis that has been created. And mind you, we have guardrails all the way through the platform. We've got almost 5,000 hours of training at this point into the platform to make sure it will not hallucinate, it will not give you false information. And what it does is it builds on those requirements, and then the human can add more information to those requirements if they wish to do so, upload all types of information like your BRD, your business requirements document. If you have any type of test automation information that you want to put in there, or frameworks that you want to put in, as well as compliance and security requirements, where you can do that right from the beginning. So from the concept, you're building a better concept. So when the information gets passed on to the testing team and the coding team, they're actually able to build better software because it eliminates the communication problems. You know, when you look at the way software development has been done over all these years, there is definitely a lot of opportunities for communication breakdown, especially when you're outsourcing. Think of outsourcing also to teams in other countries or teams that are in other office spaces where they're not there with the requirements gatherers and the business analysis analysts up front, or the SMEs, right? So all that information requires interpretation. And as human beings, we interpret things through experience. Well, AI kind of cuts that out, where we try to leave as little room for misinterpretation as possible. And that really is what we do with the requirements piece in order to hone in on the most well-developed, well-defined requirement, so that a coder is getting the same information from that requirement as the tester. So then the tester is actually testing the code as it was meant to be developed from the requirements. So keeping that line that goes through from point A all the way to point D, when it stops at point C and B along the way, it just leads to a nice linear logical conclusion to a piece of quality software by the time you're done. So that was the concept behind it.
No, I can really understand this pain because I've been in software industry for 20 years, and this has been a constant problem. Like what happens is the quality of when we are writing the user stories, and the quality keeps on going going bad like throughout the project. When you start the project, you write a very quality requirements, and then
Yeah.
it keeps on degrading. And with this software, we can actually make sure the quality remains throughout. And as you said, when we working with the like offshore teams and multiple distributed teams, it's very important that everybody have a clear understanding and how not just the requirement for that specific piece of work, it's also how it aligns with the vision and how it aligns with the organization. So the complete kind of stack trace needs to be there for them to really build a quality software, and also for the testers to test it in a proper way. And
Yeah.
also, I see even for the demos, right? Like the sprint demos, it helps if you have a quality requirements, then it helps in proper sprint demos as well. And I think this is an excellent product for that. And also, you mentioned 5,000 hours of training. That is that's a great thing. Yeah.
Well, and we're finding honestly that's really the key to quality AI, right?
Yeah.
For any type of AI tool. A lot of AI tools are being born at this point. And if you're just putting an LLM on a chat, on a chatbot, that isn't going to do it. If you're not guardrailing that AI, well, we're seeing what's happening. We're seeing it in a lot of lawsuits that are happening, in misinformation that's being provided. A lot in the legal industry, actually, which I find very interesting, because one of the concerns around AI is that AI wants to please the user. Well, I don't want a yes man when I'm analyzing a requirement or when I'm building software. I don't want a yes man anyway. But if that's what AI is becoming, then This concerns me about some of these tools that are being built in-house, right? For some of the bigger enterprise companies. Because if you're building AI and AI is trying to please the user and the company, then it's willing to agree to things or approve of things that aren't necessarily the best thing for the user to begin with. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And we don't know yet where AI is gathering. Well, we know where some of the information is coming from, but again, everything comes down to the experience of the creator. And if you're not guardrailing that, then things like bias can come in, or misinformation, or grabbing wrong information and applying it in a way that it isn't meant to be applied. So when this platform was developed, we basically started with the very basics of what is software development and how should it be done? What are the best practices that come in there? And what we did was we engaged experts in different parts of the software development lifecycle. For example, a gentleman by the name of Robin Goldsmith, who wrote the book, literally wrote the book on building real business requirements. We engaged him to help us to develop an analytical piece of the requirements portion of the platform, because the platform is laid out in three easy steps, and we guide three guided steps really. So basically, in the first piece, we focus all on the requirements piece, the user story and the acceptance criteria. And Robin was engaged to help us to create a really strong analysis of the original requirement to be able to then remove ambiguities and come out with a very solidly written business requirement. Then we engaged another gentleman by the name of John Ferguson Smart. And John Smart is brilliant, not only with requirements, but also with BDD and testing. So he's been focused on quality himself forever. He's out of the UK, and he had input on what was going on with the platform. Then we also brought in another expert named Hung Nguyen, and he's written a book on testing and quality as well. And so we engaged him to work with him on that. And then, of course, our leadership team. We have our COO, her name's Peggy Knox. She was in corporate risk for the major banks for 25 years. And so everything has gone through her lens of analysis. Then we have another gentleman, his name's Randy Barron, and he added his HR piece and looking at the bias piece and making sure that things were aligning in that respect. So we brought a lot of different minds together to really focus in on how do we eliminate this defects problem and the technical debt piece? Because quite frankly, the software development industry is stressful, and people are literally working 24/7 to, try to eliminate any problem where that software can go off the rail, and they've got to be on call all the time. How do we make life a little bit better, a little bit easier for all the people involved in the software development lifecycle? That was another part of our focus.
Excellent. Because I'm quite excited. Like you have brought in the right team and the authors of the book to really help you, the right people in the industry to help you. And I would love to use this sometime. And what have been the reaction from the enterprise teams adopting Spec to test AI? Any success stories you want to share?
Oh yeah, we've had quite a few actually. And when people really start to engage the platform more, unfortunately, it's usually after they've had some kind of big problem that started in the requirements, and then they're going, we need something a little bit better to work on this. But we are eliminating anywhere from 45 to 50% of defect issues right in step one. And then with the capability that we have to generate a myriad of different test cases, including security tests, and the ability to upload the organization's frameworks as they exist and take that information and apply them through the requirements piece all the way to the testing side. What they're finding is they're eliminating the garbage in piece, and they're now able to test very accurately for what was being put in the coding piece. We also have a patent pending capability that we released back in January of last year called predictive testing and code analysis, where you can literally check in your code into our platform. And within less than 60 seconds, Spec to Test AI can tell you exactly where that code is going to fail as it relates to the requirements and why. And if there's scope creep, identify where the scope creep happened. If there's missing information that was not captured in the code, it identifies that. So we've had a lot of success with our enterprise clients, and it's reducing their workload by up to 20 to 30%. And we have one of our organizations, I was just speaking to him about this recently, and he said, we've probably reduced our defects by about 80%. And he said, for the first time, our developers, he said, they're saying we have room for more work because they're not hunting down bugs and defects. You know, a lot of people don't think of the quality side and the testing side as a development piece, but the reality is if developers are having to spend a lot of time hunting down bugs and defects because things aren't aligning with the requirements, and that's been found in the tests, it's affecting the entire team. That's really the fact of the matter. And then of course it's affecting the product owner, you know, and who wanted it built in the first place, because you're not necessarily coming out with a quality piece of software.
Yeah, 80% reduction of defect. That's a big story. Like
Yeah,
I
it's
can,
huge. But
yeah,
they're also using it in a very specific way, right?
yeah,
They have team meetings around the platform, and then they move forward from there, which has been great. And you know, for each sprint, they're running it through the platform first. And our platform also, we have a chat bot that gives you real-time information. So you can literally type in and asking it to provide a risk report. You can ask for it to prioritize issues. It's brilliant, honestly. I don't know what else to say about it. And we're very excited because we have a release coming out in January where one of the biggest problems that we're seeing now with AI being adopted so much is AI coding tools, right? And vibe coding tools.
yeah,
Well, they're great, but again, they don't focus on the requirements piece. And we do. So what we thought was a natural progression for our platform to do is go from spec, instead of spec to test, spec to code. We're not doing the coding, but what we are doing is we're taking those requirements, enhancing them, and then creating the prompts in order to feed in to the code automation system. And it will be seamless to do that. And then you can use that predictive testing and the code analysis to identify where those fail points are. And
I mean,
again, you have to have a human in the loop the entire time. That's important. We don't want to eliminate jobs. What we want to do is make life easier for those people doing those jobs and give them better information and instruction on how to proceed to end up with a better piece of software.
yeah. And I think this is music to my ears, especially with the wipe coding now. People are creating wrong prompts and like very brief prompts, and then they go ahead, build a software, and then when something goes wrong, they don't know where to really pinpoint. And as you said, like nowadays the generative AI is kind of an yes man, like it keeps saying yes
Yeah.
to everything, and then you go into that rabbit hole, like you find a defect and then you ask AI to fix it and it creates another defect and then it goes on. I think a well-defined prompt, what your software generates, I think that will be a very good entry point for vibe coding. I think that will be great.
Oh, we couldn't be more excited about that piece,
Yeah.
honestly, because again, we're quality first. That's what we're all about. And this is what's happening right now is become an opportunity to hyper accelerate defects into production. Well, we need to stop that. And it's just a matter of addressing it right from the beginning. If you do it the right way,
Yeah.
you know, and having a third party verifier like our platform, we're not, you know, our platform to please you is going to identify those defects. It's, you know, that's its purpose. It's not just to identify them, but to help you work through eliminating them entirely.
Excellent. As CEO, what has been your biggest challenge in scaling Agile AI Labs so far?
I would say it's getting the word out.
Mhm.
Um, and quite frankly, because of the time period that we started, that was probably the most difficult part. Was it was actually easier to infiltrate in the UK and the EU in the beginning. And the reason for that is because they were very much about identifying governance pieces. What would be a smarter way to do things? How should we be really putting guardrails around this on a bigger scale? And so as a result, people over there were starting to feel more comfortable with AI sooner.
Mhm.
And here in the US, that's now all happened, but we really still don't have a consistent governance piece in the US. I think we look a lot to what the UK and the EU have done on that because it's not required at this juncture. We don't have, regulatory requirements around that. We have suggestions, you know, which is great, but we really do it in keeping with those guidelines and those guardrails. So I think people were a little hesitant here to adopt, but then once adoption started happening, it's happened so fast that it's about really teaching people how to understand what they're looking at. How do you identify what is a good tool and what isn't a good tool, right? Because
Yeah.
the tool isn't going to tell you. It's going to tell you it's the best tool that's out there, but what it is truly is training and guardrailing, training, prompting it properly in the first place. And now people are starting to understand prompting is not an easy thing. They want to, everybody wants to think it is, but it really isn't. To write a fulsome quality prompt, that takes time. And you have to put in all different types of test cases, edge and negative test cases to say, okay, well, if this goes off the rails or if it goes in this direction, then what? What do we do? How do we pull that back in? Well, our job is to make sure it never goes off in that direction in the first place. So I think that's part of it has been some of the more difficult pieces getting over the mindsets and really being differentiating ourselves. But it does take time to gain traction in any industry,
Yeah.
and we have been doing that. And also we're an enterprise level. We've been an enterprise level tool, and it's shocked us at times how much enterprise is understanding the level of assistance that our tool brings to the table. And we've been trying to make tools there. It's affordable even at the non-enterprise level, but really now reaching smaller businesses and mid-sized businesses that are working in the software development field. Everybody has software
Yeah.
now, you know. So it's really now we're looking at mid-market and trying to say, listen, you can afford our platform. Don't just think of us as enterprise level, because you can do with our platform what the enterprises are doing. And this can level the playing field for you,
Mhm.
you know.
And how does the tool integrates with any of the developer editors like code editors like Visual Studio Code or anything? Does it sit within there, or is it a standalone one? Yeah.
Well, we have a couple of ours at this point is a standalone, but
Mhm.
there will be ECM capability in the January release of Spectacode so that you can integrate with coding tools
Okay.
across the board. For with Spectatest AI, we integrate now with Jira, because that's where a lot of people are keeping their requirements. That is a requirement repository for many, many, many organizations. You can integrate with Azure DevOps also. Many, many organizations keep their information, their requirements information in Azure DevOps. And then, of course, with the code analysis piece, you can integrate with GitHub. And we only have GitHub integration at this point, but we're growing that piece. But that's where you check in your code, is you basically upload the integration with GitHub, and then we do the code analysis in your code that's being held in GitHub, and then compares it to the requirements. So, and our platform also provides information in a myriad of languages, like for BDD, cucumber and gherkin, and you name it. And then on the script side, Java, C plus, C sharp, Python, Ruby. So we have tried to make sure that, we have capability that will appeal to every user.
That sounds excellent because you're catering all different languages, and it's definitely a great tool. Yeah. And how do you balance the innovation speed with the rigor that enterprise software demands? Right now, like you need to balance with what generative AI, what progress has been happening there, like with the reasoning models and etc., and also with new features within your tool. How do you manage that?
Well, we test the different AI models all the time to see, because throughout the platform, we actually use different models for different things, because some models are better at some things than others. If that makes, I'm sure you've heard that.
Yeah.
But when a new model drops, we test it on different features that we offer and see, is this going to make a difference if we use this model? Is it not going to make a difference? Is it coming out with better information? Is it not? And if we find that the information is that much better, we will automatically upgrade that piece of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how we're staying in the forefront with the features. And honestly, on the innovative side, that truly, a lot of that is coming from Scott and Peggy and our leadership team, and also speaking to people in the marketplace and speaking to users, and I'm communicating with different enterprise level customers all the time, and also our partners who have their fingers on the pulse of what's going on constantly out in the field, and hearing what their pain points are, because that's what we want to do, is improve the lives of our users and also create better software. And the pain points are, if you can hone in on those, and no pain point is too insignificant, because usually a pain point is something, if it's really affecting someone to the level they're going to complain about it, of course, unless they're a complainer, but and you hear it more than once, you start to understand that this is a theme and we need to look at ways to address that. So that is part of our innovation sauce, as it were, to move us forward and to keep us growing.
Okay. And some critics argue AI in development is hype heavy. How do you separate the real value from noise?
Well, the fact of the matter is even if it's hype heavy, it's happening, you know? So what's hype about it at this point? Yeah, I asked myself that too. And yes, there is a lot of hype about it. I think a lot of what's happening right now is they're finding that AI hasn't made the big companies as much money as they anticipated yet. But the fact is that organizations that are employing AI tools and employing them properly, they're having significant cost reductions. And I'm not talking about wiping out the workforce. I feel like AI is being used as an excuse for some of that, to be honest, because we all know in every industry, but tech in particular, they go through these periods where they do a wave of layoffs. And there's always something to blame, whether it's the economy, and right now it's AI. I don't believe that that's true, because if AI is being used properly, you're really not wiping out your testing team. What you're doing is you're equipping your testing team to be functioning more efficiently and creating better software. So, to me, that's, maybe I shouldn't have said that out loud, but I truly believe that's what's happening. And as far as the hype goes, again, this is where it is going. This is where the adoption piece is going. The idea is to make sure that it's being done properly, and to make sure that these pieces of software that are coming through, at least in our platform, have the security wrapped around them that they need, have the intelligence wrapped within them that they need, and that literally they're coming out without defects, and no defects are making it to production. That's our goal.
Yeah, I think it is going to, as you said, like there are more jobs going to come as well. Like at this point, people don't see that because as Satya mentioned, like SaaS is going to be dead, and that kind of is kind of resonating in all the big industries. They are eager to convert their SaaS into agentic AI, and that itself is a huge like
Yeah.
task to take up.
And
Yeah.
one of the things that's really exciting too that can be done like with a platform like ours or and other tools is that there's been a lot of logic or intelligence that's been lost because of people retiring and where things haven't necessarily been upgraded or the requirements were never documented properly to begin with, but where you can literally be able to go back and create the requirements from the software that already exists and then take that and build on that. And I think that's exciting because it was kind of, that happens when there's a group of when a group ages out, let's put it that way. And a lot of the beginning software developers, they're all aging out at this point. And so a lot of that knowledge has not been captured. But truly, AI does bring that to the table, and that I think that gives a whole other opportunity. And there are new jobs being created around AI all the time. We need guardrailers out there. Who's making sure that AI isn't hallucinating, or honestly, in some respects, manipulating information? Who's doing that? Well, we need people that are capable of interacting with AI and being able to keep it on track. That's a big deal.
I think that's a great feature, like because uh, not many organizations are up to date with almost every organization. They're not up to date with the documentation of the product, and yeah, using your tool to really generate that will be great. Yeah, before.
Yeah, and it
Yeah,
just gives it. In fact, we have one of our partners used it for that specifically with a fintech firm.
yeah,
And they were like, the speed that at which we were able to do this project, we never imagined when we first started talking about doing this project. So there's just some really great opportunities that AI brings to the table. We just as human beings have to be smart about it,
yeah.
you know.
And where do you see AI-driven software quality heading in next 5 years?
I don't see any reason why we can't be removing defects at 90% at a 90 percentile rate. This should become this is the fundamentals of software development. Strong, solid requirements are the fundamentals. And if we're doing that properly, then quite frankly, there is software quality should improve exponentially. And it is really a human imperative that we do that because hyper accelerating defects, okay, in an accounting program, that may be a bit of a pain point, right? But if you're talking about that in transportation, right, in autonomous vehicles, or in airlines or in the defense department. We need to eliminate defects as much as humanly possible, and AI can help us get there, truly. And that's what we should be using AI for is and medical devices. And I'm naming different things that there have been defects in these things before, and they cause catastrophic events. So we just need to think about things in a smarter way and really deal with the fundamentals of software development with a quality first mindset. And if we do that, I honestly think we can get to a place where software, where we aren't having that many glitches and bugs and defects and moving into the production piece.
It's great. And you have led teams across industries from the sustainability projects to enterprise operations. What leadership lessons have stayed constant across all these roles?
You need to listen to the people doing the work.
Mm.
I think that is the most important thing. The people that are in the trenches doing the work, they know what the issues are that need to be addressed. And when you listen and you apply that knowledge and you work with them to come up with solutions, most of the time they have a solution in mind. They see what can be done better and differently. And when you can do that and either support them by supplying them with what they need to do that, or in our case, we've basically created a whole team around doing that ourselves. But I think that's the most important piece is listening to not just the customer, but the team that you work with, because the more people are engaged in an organization that you work in, the better that organization becomes. And that reflects to the customers that use your product or your service.
And how do you build a culture of resilience and innovation in Agile AI Labs?
I would say it's applying that listening,
Mhm.
right? Listening to not only what is going on in the industry, but what's going on with individuals working in the industry, because they have the insight as to how to apply different things or how different things are being applied. And if you can take that information and then innovate from it, then you're solving a problem. And that's truly what every organization should be doing, whether it be a service organization or a product organization. We should be solving problems.
Yeah. Yeah, let's looking ahead for 2026. What is your vision for Agile AI Labs and Spec to Test AI for 2026?
Well, as I was telling you, we're really excited about the spec to code features that are coming out. So we see ourselves at this juncture becoming the place where everyone goes for quality prompts. That's what we envision. And we also are in some talks to uh, work with an organization that's very data heavy, synthetic data in particular, where we work with them also to be able to provide everything that a software development team needs from soup to nuts to have the best product possible when they're done at the end of the day. So that's our vision at this juncture, is not only to have quality be embedded right from the key points with requirements, but really in the prompting so that it goes all the way through
Okay.
the software
And
itself.
yeah. And what is your growth target for the next 2 years? And what are the challenges you anticipate in achieving them?
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't really see a tremendous amount of challenges, and maybe that's my naivety at this point, because I think we have pointed ourselves in exactly the direction we need to be. And I do believe that every organization needs a tool like ours, would like a tool like ours once they had it in order to alleviate some of that stress on the employees, um, as well as to stand behind the product that comes out of it. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess the instability that's going on in the world is a little frustrating with setting direction and all of that, but we're just keeping our heads down and moving forward in the best way that we can in order to solve the problem of quality or
Perfect.
lack thereof.
And if you could transform one major industry practice around software development, what it would be and why?
Oh, that's a good question. Hmm. Um, I think I would at this point, because AI is kind of the wild, wild west right now. It still is. Um, I think it would be to just caution people to listen to the people that are involved in using it. Don't take AI's word for it. You know, do your research, check the information being provided to you. Don't allow AI to be a yes man, right? Make sure that you keep the human involved and listen to your engineers, and listen to your requirements gatherers and your SMEs and your business analysts and your testing team, your quality engineers, because they are the ones that all the information that AI is gathering has come from human beings. Do not forget that. And that creative piece and that innovation isn't being done by AI. AI is the tool with which we're implementing the innovation that's being done by humans. That's that's the most important thing, because I do worry about that.
Yeah. No, that is completely true. Like human first and then AI next.
That's
That
right.
should be the theme. Yeah. And let's get into the rapid fire. One book or the resource that shaped your thinking as a leader.
Good to great. basically talks about the importance of being able to pivot and not get stuck in one mindset.
Perfect. And most underrated skill for someone building AI products today.
Creativity.
Is AI in software quality assurance hype or must have?
Must have as a tool, not as a replacement.
Okay. If you weren't leading AI, Agile AI labs, what would you be doing instead?
Ooh, I think I would be working on building affordable housing for people that was smart and energy efficient and sustainable.
That's a great cause.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I would be using AI actually for some of those features.
No, actually, that's the thing, right? Like now, especially the small, medium businesses and everybody, it can make the changes so well, and even for the affordable housing and everything. That's the key area where it can really make changes to people's life. Like that's
100%.
excellent. Okay, and yeah, we are close to the time. Like, okay, and um, that was an incredible conversation, and your insights on the AI powered software quality and defects, and also what the tool has to offer. And I think it is definitely going to help to reach that goal, what you mentioned, like at least 95% of defects needs to be reduced by in another few years. I think this is the best tool to get to that stage. And thanks for sharing your insights. And
Thanks for having me.
thank you. And for the audience, if you'd like to learn more about Missy's work on or explore how spec to test AI can transform your engineering team, check out the Agile AI Labs and connect with Missy on LinkedIn. A huge thank you again to our sponsor, NeuroAgentic AI Labs, delivering the next generation AI powered workforce automation for scale focused business. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen, and share this with someone who needs to hear this. Yeah, thanks again, Missy, for joining as a guest, and wish you all the best for your product. Thank you.
Thank you. We look forward to seeing the podcast.
Thank you.
So yes, and please join us, follow us on LinkedIn, and
Sure.
check out our website because, like I said, this tool should be in the hands of everybody. And quite frankly, it is affordable.